All right. Hello. My name. Hey, girl. It's good to see you. It's really good to see you.
Good to see you too, virtually.
Yes. With everything going on, it's just good to see a pretty face. So I will start by saying hello, and my name is Zamani, and welcome to Advance's Amplify virtual interview series. Advance acknowledges that we in Toronto, where this organization was founded, are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Now, I am currently located in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is the unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And since it is also African Heritage Month, I also wanted to recognize our African Canadian ancestors who first arrived in Canada as early as 1604. And because of their strength, courage, resistance, and remarkable contributions over the centuries, Canada is what it is today. So, Advance was formed to develop an infrastructure to help better uplift and retain Black people in the Canadian music business. And the Amplify series highlights exceptional Black professionals in the Canadian music industry and shares their stories and many experiences. So our goal is to help you, or for you to leave with a greater appreciation for our guests, because each individual has made significant difference. And now I'm very, very excited and happy to introduce you all to Katrina Lopes. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Welcome today.
Yes. Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you do.
I am an artist manager. I have my own company called KO Management, and I manage Shawn Desman, TiKA, who is a soul artist, Kayla Diamond, who's a pop artist, and I work on a consultant basis with a variety of other talent in the country.
Lovely. Awesome. Black excellence. Okay, we see you. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. I want to know, what was one of your biggest inspirations for getting into this business, into the music industry?
I had a couple. So I mean, one of them was your mom. When I was younger and she was in For the Moment, Delvina Bernard, I had so much pride that there were like Black women in music from little old Nova Scotia, like doing it. And everywhere I traveled, I would take the CD with me. And like, whether I was in Bermuda, whether I was in Chicago, whether I was wherever I was playing the CD and saying, oh, but you gotta check out this group from Nova Scotia. But that was like an example to me of, it was like seeing myself, like seeing someone, Black Nova Scotians doing something like that seemed at that time, I didn't have any other examples of anyone really doing that scale, like as a profession. And then it like further, like that was in my youth, and then further along in my career, my cousin, Carrie Crawford, who was also a big inspiration. He was in the group Baby Blue Sound Crew.
Oh, nice.
Before your time, Zamani, but he was in a sound crew, like a DJ sound crew. I used to come up to Toronto in the summers for Caravana, and I would hang out and go to all the BBC parties, Baby Blue Sound Crew parties. And then when they got signed and were doing their CD release tour, I did their parties in Nova Scotia. And he was like, you should manage, like you would be really good at talent management. So I wasn't managing them, but I was kind of helping them out with stuff and sort of learning things from a promotional standpoint. And then I kind of thought, this is something that I could do. And then one of the trips I was in Toronto, I went to this conference called NABFEM, which is the National Association of Female, what is it? NABFEM, National Association of Black Females in Music and Entertainment. And I mean, it was the heavy hitters in the US.
Right.
Like Sylvia Rowan was there, Johnny Walker, who's the founder of NABFEM, Suzanne DePass, who's like the executive producer of the American Music Awards, like Gene Riggins, like Pete, like, and to me, first of all, I would never even thought how I would ever meet like
all these people.
Level of people. And then everyone was so open. It was like really, truly like a space of like sisterhood and helping and mentoring and like I couldn't even afford to go. Like I was just volunteering. So I was like volunteering, and like anytime someone needed a pair of hands, I was in there. If you need me to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was up in there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so people really like used me, and a lot of those relationships I still have now. So again, it was like seeing myself and seeing that like, oh, this is possible. Like it's possible to have a career in music, and it's not. I think before that, like before all of those experiences I just mentioned, it just seemed like outlandish to me.
Would you say that was sort of like a turnkey moment, or like a time where you felt like, wow, oh, you did say like, I feel like after seeing that this is possible. So would you kind of call that your turnkey moment, or like, the climax, or where everything seemed possible?
I definitely think that was a turnkey moment for me relocating. So that was the turnkey moment for me moving to Toronto. And then I think later in my career, my turnkey moment was starting my own company. So before that, I was working for another management company, and what didn't necessarily agree with everything that was sort of happening in the company. I was so sorry, I need to backtrack. I was working for another management company. I was managing Shawn Desman, but like through another entity, right? And didn't necessarily agree with everything that was happening in the company. We were just getting ready to sort of launch Shawn's career, like he was re-entering the market. And yeah, we just kind of made this crazy decision to leave. Like I left the company and he came with me, and we didn't have masters. We didn't have money. Like I mean, so that was like I said, NABFEM and everything was like the turnkey in terms of moving to Toronto and like trying to do this. But like that was really starting my own company was like the turnkey moment of like becoming an entrepreneur and doing this and like starting with nothing kind of. And like I remember that time so vividly. It was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago to the day.
Wow.
10 years ago, I think in like November. And like I would wake up every day feeling sick, like feeling not like because I was terrified.
Well,
would wake up feeling nauseous and call me, and I would be like, it's gonna be fine. We did the right decision. Like this is the right decision. Like remember why we made this decision. Like because I did believe that. Like we made the right decision. It was we wanted to be free of that environment, and we felt it was the best decision for him and the best decision for the team. But like knowing that and feeling that are two different things. And like we're terrified. And like I had a list of like how much money we had to make, like how much revenue I had to generate each month.
Wow.
My bills and his bills, like for the and yeah, I mean it was a crazy time. And I mean I was getting like because this is my first couple of even months of business. I was getting threats of like being sued. Like I had to get a lawyer. And not an entertainment lawyer, because anyone who works in entertainment probably knows an entertainment lawyer who like helps them on things and pay them and maybe the label pays or something. But like I had to get like an employment lawyer to make sure I didn't like, cross any conflict of interest, like which I had a good case. So like none of that was an issue, but just like I had to like pay for this. I was being threatened of being sued. So like in my, I was just like, oh my gosh, I might have to pay thousands of dollars for this, tens of thousands of dollars. And if there's like litigation, there might be tens of thousands of dollars. And then every once in a while I'd get these threatening emails, and I just puke every day. I just wanted to puke every day. But I gotta say, I mean, I wouldn't change any of it for one thing.
Right.
And I think that it was a lesson in like,
it brought you where you are.
Yeah, it brought me where I am. It was, I mean, I really did believe it was the right decision. And like, that's what I just kept coming back to. Like, no, this is the right decision. We're doing this for the right reasons. And I was transparent with everyone. about what was happening and what, like, in our team, like even with the label, because I mean, our lawyer told us, he's like, no label is gonna take this on without termination papers, because we didn't have termination at that time, and which any good lawyer would tell you. But
right.
I was just transparent with the label. I was like, listen, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. And like, they could have said, well, we can't do anything with this because we didn't have an official document saying that our former agreement was terminated, because it was like a label tied up with management, tied up with publishing. Yeah. But he didn't do that. He was like, okay, thank you for, like, he appreciated my honesty. And he really believed in us, and he bet on this. This was Randy Lennox, because I showed him out for this. And he was like, okay, we'll give them 30 days to sign something, and if they don't, then they've just ignored it and we're moving forward. And I was like, oh, I was like, thank gosh. But yeah, it was a trying time.
Yes. Well,
but it was a turnkey moment. That's all.
That was the turnkey moment. That's beautiful. I mean, it's crazy how chaos can turn into success.
Oh my God.
And it's making me think of one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, which was, I once heard someone say that a lawyer who represents themselves in court has a fool for a client. And it kind of makes me think of how a lot of artists these days are really managing themselves.
Yeah.
Having to take matters into their own hands, especially with the way the music industry is set up right now. Everything is done through technology. A lot less big labels are, it's not as, it's more accessible, actually, is what I'm trying to say, for musicians to really do it for themselves. But do you think that that's a good idea for artists to be managing themselves, or do you think it's better to have someone else who's objective and knows the business better?
Well, I think, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think the benefit of an artist managing themselves, at least in the early stages, especially in this like DIY industry that we're sort of in, is that you understand the business better. Like, because I definitely notice a difference between artists that I manage who have managed themselves before and those that haven't, and like the level of like just education they have around the music industry. And I think so I do think there's a huge benefit to it in that you're just aware of the business. You don't need to know everything. And I think you should have someone who's experienced when you get to a level where you need someone who knows more than you about management. But like, I do think it's the best way to really have a handle on your own business. That said, not every artist wants to be a manager or like has those skills to like, they just want to focus on the creative, and that's okay too. I don't think artists should feel like the pressure to manage themselves either, right? So I don't think there's like a one size fits all answer.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about that from the perspective of someone who is a musician and who is an artist, I do have a lovely team of people around me, but it's also kind of really great for everyone to put their heads together. And if you can find like a group of people that have like the different skill sets, and then, it's almost like, I don't know the best way to say it, but it really works better when everyone's collaborating and everyone's seen as equals.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. And that kind of makes me think too, like, do you have any certain philosophies or principles surrounding the music business and the way you manage your artists?
Yes. Yeah. So I think, I think it's really important to be clear about your values, whether you're a manager or an artist or wherever you are in the industry. And then working with people who have values alignment, like what you're in values alignment with. And one of those values that Shawn and I we didn't know this is what we were doing. Like, we weren't calling it values alignment. Like, when we first started it, we were just like, we are not going to work with assholes. Like, that's a value of ours. Like, it's hard to do that in the music industry. Well, it's probably hard to do that in life. But, like, we just had so many interactions. We were just like, it's just not worth it. Like, and we really need to draw a line in the sand, because sometimes an opportunity comes that seems great. And even though, maybe someone's an asshole, you're like, yeah, but it's going to be fine. We can manage this. And it's just not, for us, we decided it just was not worth it, but we wanted to draw a line in the sand so that when future potential amazing opportunities came, we'd be like, what? We know this is not worth it for us. Like for us, this wasn't important. I mean, it was important to like draw that line. And then I think on the flip side, like, I mean, and again, this is like just for me, it has always been important. Like as a manager, I'm able to hire a lot of people, like not for necessarily long term, but whether it's musicians, photographers, video directors, crew. So just hiring a diverse team and having an inclusive team and environment. And like, I always try to hire Scotians when I can hire Scotians. I always prioritize Black folks, women, LGBTQ. So I think that is, I guess that's another value of like, of how I operate my business or philosophy. I think you asked about
giving people a platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, I remember that feeling when I first moved to Toronto and not knowing anyone. And it's like the people who give you those opportunities and who bet on you, like those can be your turnkey moments. So like, I would love to be able to look back one day and be like, oh my gosh, I gave someone their turnkey moment.
Right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And would you say you had any kind of mentors or, people that you looked up to that kind of fostered those values within you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, definitely my dad.
Yeah.
Definitely my godmother, Lynn Jones, who I'll also shout out, who's a huge pillar in the Black community in Nova Scotia. Absolutely. Like they have been kind of like my life mentor. Like just, I mean, it's not a formal term, mentor, but like they've been my people I go to for knowledge and wisdom. And then I think like, again, people like your mom who have just done it before and who can, I mean, and she has mentored me in various ways, not just from a music standpoint, but again, kind of in life. And I think one thing that's really strong about the Black community in Nova Scotia is like the unity and just the Black community in Nova Scotia has always been very Afrocentric, and it is something I have missed, like being outside of Nova Scotia. And so your mom was definitely instrumental in shaping my identity. And I think even just, I don't know the right words. I don't have quite the right words to use, but so like, it wasn't like a formal mentorship, but I just think in Nova Scotia, I think every generation in the Black community in Nova Scotia have been really good at guiding the next one that has come through.
Yes.
Again, it's something I think I really miss being outside of Nova Scotia sometimes. But then in terms of a more like formal mentorship, like Lisa Sabitnu was a very impactful mentor in my life. She was the president of BMG and then BMG and then NABFEM. Just getting back to NABFEM, like I think again that mentor they had a mentorship program.
Yeah.
So I think there's kind of been a variety of ways that people have shaped my journey.
Okay. What would you say are some of the rituals that you do that help you stay creative or help you just with your business in general? Like, what are the regular things that kind of inspire you?
Well, one of the things which I must admit I haven't done I didn't do this year, but Najeri, who's my girl from Scotia, who Najeri Watkins, who was actually, I also want to shout her out because she was one of the first people who really believed in me and this journey of mine.
She is very optimistic and encouraging person.
Yeah. And every year, she and I used to go to chapters, have lattes, and like map out our year, like our goals, and like we would have it separated into every category. So we'd have our spiritual goals, our financial goals, our business goals, our relationship goals. Like we had so many sections of goals. But like having someone else to kind of go through that, and then we'd check. I mean, we'd spend hours there, just like in each other's presence. Mapping out our goals, drinking some chai lattes, but and then checking in with each other. And I think that's really important to have, or maybe not important, but like, it's nice to go through that with someone else who's, a dear friend or a family member and who's kind of outside of the business. Like,
that's important.
It's not someone I'm working with. Like, there's value, of course, in doing goal setting with the people you are working with, like your artist. Of course, you should do that. But yeah, I think there's another level of that, like, because as managers, sometimes we're so caught up in the journey and strategy for our clients, as we should be, but like we don't have time to focus on the strategy for our own business.
Exactly.
So that, I think that's important. So anyways, that's one of the rituals that
I think that's great. You know, vision boarding, using images, that's something that I love to do. I love to, you know, yeah, like they say if you write out your goals, it's like 45% more likely that you're gonna actually do it, you know? And that's the kind of stuff that really like propels you into a successful position, you know?
Yeah.
But what would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you've ever faced in the industry?
My biggest challenge has been that I am extremely shy. And I would even venture to say that I have social anxiety. I've never been diagnosed, but I think it wasn't in my youth, that was not a thing to like have social anxiety.
Right.
But like I was terrified all the time. And I think like having to overcome that as like being an advocate for someone else, like being an advocate for my artist and having to go in spaces where like I might be the only Black person, I might be the only woman, I might be the only young person. I mean, not now, but when I was young,
yeah,
I might have been the only young person. So, and traveling, like I remember I went on a trade mission to Japan, to Tokyo.
Wow.
And like I was terrified because I was reading. This is back in the day where you had to read in a Lonely Planet book. You couldn't really like look up like.
No such thing. There was no such thing.
Yeah,
I'm glad I was born when I was born.
And it was. I mean, for one, I was not going to be able to. I knew this obviously. I'm not going to be understand any of the signs or like. And then I was reading about like addresses and like how to find addresses and how it's like a circular. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this for myself? Like I was terrified of like, because I'm already shot. Like the reason I was terrified was that like I don't want to have to ask people for help, for not the help part, but like I don't want to have to talk to strangers.
Right. No, I feel you. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and so that has been like an ongoing like. It's just something I had to get over. Like I can't do what I do without knowing how to navigate that. But like, and just to use an example, like Shawn. So I manage Shawn Desman. He has a fear of flying. Like it's not a little fear. It's not like a little discomfort. Like he has a legit fear of flying. But like, we would do no shows if he couldn't fly anywhere. Right? Like so he just does it. Like he just does it. He's terrified. We are on the plane and he's terrified. And like, there's certain things that I can do to help like mitigate that. Like we fly during the day, we don't fly at night. We sit in front of the plane. He never wants to sit by the window, even though he wants to lean over and look out the window. Anyways, as long as he can see the ground, but like, it's just a fear of his that he has to navigate. And so for me, it was like, well, this is just what my fear is that I have to navigate. That like, it's just a part of the process. It's just a part of life. Like, we have fears. We have to we just have to deal with them.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite sayings is just like when I'm having a moment where I'm like, there's something that I have to do and there's no way to get around it. It's just feel the fear and do it
anyway. Yeah.
I live by that. It was my phone background for like months. And
part of it, I think too, is because fear is not always real. Like, yes, there are the fears of like a bear is chasing you. Your fear should kick in and you should run. Yes. But like, then there's the other fears that are not real. And like, sometimes I do tell myself sometimes is like and I can't remember where I learned this. I must have done a webinar or something, or maybe I read it in a book because I read a lot. And it was someone who had done studies on like fear and like how our brain, like the physiology of our brain and like where fear and anxiety lives and how like our brain, we can't make good decisions when we're like in those moments. And that sometimes even just telling your brain something like so anyways, I literally, when I'm feeling that, I feel like, okay, thanks guys. This is not a bear. I don't right now. Like chill on the fight or flight. Like it's just a person or it's just a this or it's just a that. And that and like my yoga breathing.
Yes, honestly, breathing that fresh prana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that like your challenges have differed, you know, as a Black woman? You mentioned a bit about that earlier. Like, how do you think that your challenges differ from your counterparts that, you know, don't have that in common with you?
I think, I mean, a variety of ways. I think probably the biggest, well, I don't know if it's the biggest, but the one that's at forefront of my mind is getting pushback from stakeholders about things. Like, I think it has been a challenge for others to see my vision. Mm-hmm. And especially like, for example, when I want to like hire and prioritize Black folks or women and so, like, I think, okay, what am I trying to say? Mm-hmm. Sometimes because of the lack of infrastructure, the talent that I see in people, whether they be an artist or a photographer or whatever, like whatever role that they play, people don't always have a resume or like something visual that other people, like a stranger, can buy in, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's hard for me to get other, like a label or like some other stakeholder to buy into what I want to do, because I'm like, no, trust me, I got this. Like, I know who the best people are for this. And they want to see resumes and jobs description, like reels and bios. And it's like, dude,
that's not all it's about.
Like, just drop. No, like I don't. Yeah. And so I think that's been one of the bigger challenges. I mean, when with Shawn's, not his last project, but a couple projects ago, his Alive record, we shot a movie, like a scripted movie in conjunction with his album. Mm-hmm. And RT was the director, and he and I sort of co-created the idea. And we really wanted to have a diverse cast. And so we went through the process with the casting director. I mean, this was like an ACTRA project. It wasn't like just shooting a music video. So we had a casting director. We went through the process of casting, and we had some people, but it just really still wasn't that diverse. And we're like, we're gonna have to do this again. Like, you're not getting at people who are coming in for the auditions are not as diverse as we would like. Mm-hmm. And we had pushback of like, oh, this is too diverse. And we're like, excuse me? Like, well, first of all, we are the ones who decide what it's going to be. And the fact that it was like I don't know, we were just like, this is just crazy. Like, what do you mean it's too diverse? Like, just do it. Like,
what's that even mean?
I'm always having that pushback of like, I've had numerous. I mean, I could go on for days with stories of that, of just having pushback and I mean, actually, another really good story, because this will bring Halifax into the fold. Mm-hmm. A number of years ago, might have been 5 years ago, Shawn performed We Day in Halifax. We used to do all the We Days. Right. So we did We Day in Halifax, and he didn't have a song in market, because normally when you perform at We Day, you should perform one song. It's usually the song that you have in market. Yes. He didn't have a song in market. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to do a cover. I want to do Lean on Me. Yes. And he's like, I'd like to do it with a choir. And I was like, well, Halifax is the right place, because I know the choir, like Scotian, like I can find them. Trust me. Like, I know exactly what youth choir will use, the North Preston Youth Choir. Mm-hmm. So, and we reached out to them, like, you know, they were excited to do it, but they don't have like an EPK. Mm-hmm. Like, or, you know, they didn't have any video of their performances. Like, anyone in Scotia knows the Nova Scotia Youth Choir, North Preston Youth Choir is going to kill it, right? But like, absolutely, for me to pitch that to We Day, they're like, they're EPK. And I'm like, well, no, they don't have an EPK. Or I think maybe I didn't want to say that they didn't have one, and I just kind of kept delaying it. And they're like, well, we need to see a video or something. And I was just like, kind of ignoring their request, to be honest. And then they started pitching me. They're like, oh, you know, we found this this other choir. I won't say who it is, but this other choir, and they have a glee club, and they did a rendition of Lean on Me. And I'm like, so they sent me the video, and I'm like, first of all, this is not what Shawn was looking for. He's not looking to do a glee club. No. Lean on Me. I'm from Nova Scotia. Like, again, it's like, just let me deal with it. Like, I have this handle. Lack of trust. Like, don't worry about this. But like, I think it's hard for people to like because there's a lack of infrastructure, there's a gap between what other people can see if you're not in the community. So just really getting that pushback. I mean, and then just to round out the story, I mean, the performance was amazing. Like we had a great time. We went we did our rehearsals at the hall because it was like, I bring everybody down to the, like, I don't remember what it was called, the Scotiabank Theater back, or stadium, I don't know what it is now, but so we had a great time. People were coming from, like, because I had posted on Facebook, I'm like, oh yeah, we're here at the hall, you know, doing rehearsal, and Putty was there, of course, because his daughter is in the choir, Khadija. And like people, like, so people who like I've gone to high school with, or like other family members who were like in the area were like just coming down to the, like, it was a beautiful like experience. That's how I met Keontae.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was anyway, so I'm getting like, I round out the story and actually end it and say it was an amazing experience. Like the Kielburger brothers were like, this is one of the best We Day performances ever. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because y'all should just trusted me.
They could have trusted you. They should have. They should have listened. Well, you know, you proved yourself, you know? Yeah. And that brings me to my next question. Do you feel like the music industry has made any legitimate steps forward after making their pledges during the industry blackout?
No.
It's unfortunate. I mean, you have to be honest.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I do think there have been some things that have happened. I mean, I do think that, I don't remember the exact timing of Advance, but I feel like it sort of came out of the, I feel like what we're doing now has come out of that, not specifically the blackout, but I think it has opened up some conversations. Like, cause I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I think it has opened up some conversations, but like, I haven't seen any real
concrete changes.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe I haven't seen anything like, I mean, change for the most part takes time, right? So like, absolutely. I haven't seen any changes that where people have like done a 180 and like have made a change that has been so dramatic and like, dramatic's not the right word, but something that was clearly noticeable. Like, I feel like maybe people are having conversations. I don't know.
But I guess that's where we start. And, you know, I definitely feel like, well, here in Halifax, there's been, you know, a lot as well. I mean, this happens every year in February. You know, you get all the requests to sing the Black National Anthem. But I do feel there's a little bit happening here. Definitely feel a little bit more demand coming towards the Black community, but I would like to see a lot more. A lot more.
I think one thing it has done is it is something to now point to when, like when trying to have open more conversations. Like, well, it's like, because now it's like it's not okay to not have those conversations. So I think that there are ways to sort of leverage it. But I don't feel like I've seen a whole lot of stuff happening.
Well, how do you see like the industry changing in the future, in the near future? And what in particular would you like to see change, especially in Canada, in the Canadian industry?
That's a hard question because I go back and forth between like just in general, not just in the music industry, but like I guess entering spaces and just creating spaces for ourselves. Like, so the importance of like penetrating someone else's space, like someone like integration, I guess, or like just creating and building our own shit. And so I struggle with that with Canada as well. Cause a part of me wants to say, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we actually had like a Black music industry in Canada, like an infrastructure. But another part of me says, well, why? Like, why can't we just create, like, why as artists or managers, if we need to leave or not leave physically, like if I need to sign my artist to a US label or if I need to sign in my artist in the UK, like, it would be great to sign them here, but then I think, but why? Like, what like, I don't, like, there's a national pride, I guess, but like, I don't know, they haven't wanted us for a long time. Like, so why is it so important for them to want us now? You know, like,
exactly. It does feel a little bit like it's like oops, we forgot you here. Yeah.
Definitely. Whereas, like, I think it would be great if there was a stronger, like, Black owned entity that was, but like,
the emphasis has been on Black owned, like, so much. Like 2020, if there's one thing that I can see really coming up for us, it's just the like emphasis on Black owned businesses. Like, so many friends of mine have started businesses, and I'm just like really wanting to support them. And we definitely need to see more of that. Definitely.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to ask was, this is on another topic, but how do you balance work and life, especially right now during COVID-19, and we're all like being forced to spend countless hours on our screens? I'm in university and I have to watch all my lectures online, do all the assignments online, then do my music online and talk to my family and friends online. How are you managing work and life, especially right now during this pandemic?
How am I managing work and life? I don't know that I am. I mean, one thing I can say is, for me, just in terms of like right now and being in a pandemic and everything being online, I have in some ways been more efficient because I'm not wasting time traveling to play. Like, I don't mean traveling internationally, but like if I have a meeting, the time it takes me to get to the meeting and get back, and like, and then I find my meetings are a lot short, quick, efficient. Like, I'm able to have more of them, and I just really do feel like it has been more efficient for my business in that way. It also has been efficient in that I've been able to nurture my international network, because pre-pandemic people weren't really hopping on. I mean, I know Zoom existed, but people weren't just like, yeah, let's hop on a Zoom. Like, people would be like, what? Why would I do that? Like, whereas now, like, I have a group, like an industry group from the UK that we get on a Zoom every Thursday. And like, and it's just to like support each other and like celebrate each other. And we originally.
Do you feel like there's more support now than there ever was before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's just a more openness, like, where people are willing to get on a Zoom and chat, or, you know, explore ideas, are willing to like look at what, like more willing to look at opportunities. And I don't know if that's just because people have more time, or if it's because the future is so unknown that like every opportunity could be an opportunity. So you're more on.
Do you think this is also, not to cut you off, sorry, did you have no? Do you think that this might be something that we could like carry into the future? Like, not like once the pandemic is over, do you think we're going to kind of abandon that? Or do you think that this is something that will continue on and continue to be a support for people?
I think it will continue. Well, I think from an international focus, it will continue, because I think what it has done, like, well, for me, what it has done is things I thought I needed to be in market for, I realized I don't need to. Now that everyone's cool with the Zoom or cool with doing things virtually, I mean, and that just opens up so many more opportunities and so many, like, I mean, it helps the budget. It was supposed to be in real life with the Netherlands, which they made virtual, and I was really skeptical. I'm like, y'all, we can do some things virtually, but we can't just do a trade mission.
Oh,
it was really good, like, because the biggest benefit of a trade mission is having those business to business meetings with businesses in that market. Yeah, and they were all open to having a Zoom. So like, I didn't like, of course you're still missing out on being able to have that casual, you know, like have a drink or have dinner or coffee with someone and like build them that way. I'm not saying it replaces that, but I do think that like, I mean, I was able to get a lot done just by hopping. I think I had like 8, I think they set us up with like 8 meetings with like companies that I wouldn't have been able to, they're not meetings I would have been able to set up myself. So I think that it has definitely opened things up in that way. Yeah.
I can see people, you know, people are getting real comfortable on these computers, you know. I know some people who are already saying, like, I could do my job from home for the rest of my life. I don't need to go back into the office. I don't need to go back to school. Personally, I'm not a fan of the online school, but I swear they're giving us more to do. But it's all good, you know. But I definitely do see some people getting a little too comfortable, you know, with their computers. But yeah, so if you could close your eyes right now and just kind of envision what the ultimate success looks like for you, what does that look like?
I mean, success is always evolving for me, I think. I think, I mean, for me, it is being able to do what I love, like with people that I love, like with people I really love and respect, making a living doing what I'm doing, and really feeling like I'm contributing something. Like I like to feel like I'm of service or that I'm having an impact. I think it changes. Like I think when I was younger, it was more about like numbers and it would be stream. I mean, it wasn't streams back then, but like I think I was more kind of focused on outward maybe definitions of success. Whereas now I think that it's evolved. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Success really does evolve. Like what I thought last year. It's also crazy just because, I mean, even in the midst of COVID-19, what we thought we were going to be doing, like I'm going to be here by this time, and I'm going to be, hit these goals, hit these marks. Like everything is so uncertain, and I see like failures and stuff kind of as a success, which also brings me to my next question, which is, what's a lesson that you've learned from a failure? If you've had any failures, if you want to call them that.
I've had failures. I think I think that like, okay, I'm gonna like go back really far, but I was in, I don't know if this still exists, but I was in the BBI program, which was the Black Business Initiative.
Yeah.
I was in it with Miss Gary, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, pardon?
Cuties.
Yeah.
How long ago was this? How long ago was that?
I don't know. It was before I moved to Toronto.
Okay.
So I mean, that was a long time ago.
She doesn't want to reveal her age. It's okay.
I honestly don't remember the year, but I also don't remember my age. But yes, anyways, a long time ago, I did this program because I wanted, so it was after I was doing like CD release parties and stuff for Baby Blue Sound Crew. I had like brought Scratch, starting from scratch out to Halifax and some other DJs. I was doing parties at that time. So I wanted to move into management. I had just, I think I hadn't discovered NABFEM yet. It was like around the same time. So anyways, I was in the BBI to do this, I'm like, well, I don't know anything about business. Like I knew nothing about business. I went to school for international development studies, and no one in my family is in business. Like my dad works in government. So I just didn't know anything about running a business. So I'm like, I'm going to do this BBI program and really figure out how to run a business. So in the program, you are not allowed to miss any classes. And you are not allowed to make any money above, like, because they give you a stipend, which is not enough to live, but you're not allowed to make any additional money, which is a little bit opposite of entrepreneurial spirit, I think. But anyways, I went to Toronto. I don't know if I went for Caravana, but I went to Toronto for some reason. And that's when I learned about NABFEM, which was the conference I was telling you about earlier, the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. Like, no more, you couldn't get any more on brand than to be attending this conference. And this is not just a couple of people in Canada. This is like the heaviest of heavy hitters.
Exactly.
Black music in the US or in Toronto, and I have their ear and am basically running around as a volunteer or intern for them. And so I couldn't come back to class. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't come back. Like, I can't come back to Halifax just to come to class and miss this. And so I called whoever you're supposed to call. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. And it's like, totally, I couldn't even believe that there was an organization so specific, like Black female executives in music and entertainment. And I'm like, this is exactly my business. Like, can you believe it? And I just assumed that they would have the same excitement. Yeah. And I said, well, you need to be back for class. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm not just watching this. Like, I'm volunteering. Like, I'm in the room with people. Like it's real. Like, it's not just I'm not just buying a ticket and just watching things happen on stage. Right. And they're like, no, you can't. You have to be back for class. And if you don't come back for class, you're going to be kicked out of the program. And I was like, no, you must. I'm like, there must be some miscommunication happening here. Like, because
I'm sick. I can't come.
Yeah, I know. I was too far in. I probably should have just done that, but now I was too far down the line. So I was like, no, but you don't understand. Like, in case you don't remember what my business plan is. And no, they were really firm. They were like, no, if you're not in class tomorrow, then you're in the program. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can't turn down this opportunity. Like, that would be ridiculous. And I think that it was a lesson for me. And I got kicked out. I didn't graduate.
For a good reason.
Yeah, but I think it was it was an example to me of how sometimes other people just aren't going to see your vision and they're not going to get it. And you can't let other people define success for you. And you can't let other people define what the path to success is for you. And for me, it was worth the loss. Like, I didn't feel like it at the time. At the time, it felt like shit. No. It didn't feel good in the moment. But I mean, I knew enough of myself and what my vision was and the impact that NABFEM would have that I didn't go home. I was like, well, I think this is a miscalculation on your part. I always told myself too, I was like, one day I'm going to be successful and you're going to want to claim me as a graduate of this program and you're going to ask me to come speak at your convention.
That's the way to think.
I'll come. But anyways, that has not happened.
Well, hey, listen, you never know. It's not too late. I don't think it's too late.
It's not as important to me now. At that time, it was that was what fueled me. That's
what kept you going.
Now I'm just whatever.
You could, but if you're thinking about where you're at now, if you could go back and give yourself advice at that time or even before then, what would you tell yourself? What would you say, going through that?
Well, I think it's just that people are not always going to get what your vision is. That's part of what I think being an entrepreneur is, or being a visionary. Not everyone is going to understand where you want to go or what your dream is, or and you can't let other people define how to get there. Even when I wanted to come here and make it in the music biz, I refused to get a 9-to-5 job. Everybody told me, you need to get a 9-to-5 job so that you can you can make money and you can focus on music as a hobby. I mean, not as a hobby, focus on music as a hobby until it's something that you can make happen. And that does not make any sense to me because I've left Nova Scotia for the purpose of making it in the music industry in Toronto. So I can either give this part-time hours and I'll get part-time results, or I can throw myself in and it's sink or swim. If I fail, I fail, whatever, I'll go home. But I was hoping that wouldn't be the case.
Right.
But I just did not want to fall into that category of now I'm going to be exhausted with a 9-to-5 that I'm not going to have the energy to pour into what my vision is. It's like, no, I have to just make my vision my 24/7.
Yeah.
Then those I'll either get the results or I won't. Like if I don't make it, then I'll know it wasn't meant for me. But
right.
I just felt like doing it part-time would result in part-time results. So I didn't want to do that. So again, they were wrong.
Gotta prove wrong, you know.
Not say, I mean, I say this to say, I'm not suggesting that people should ignore their responsibilities and do that. Like I did not have any, like,
but you have to follow.
Fortunate to be able to do that. I had to like work like in some, like I had to make ends meet, obviously, but you know, I don't have children. I don't have other responsibilities that would force someone to make another choice.
So you feel like this is where you're meant to be. This is like your destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my destiny is to like support other people and to like be an advocate for others. And it just so happens that I do that in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be in some other way. Like, I think that was what attracted me to international development and social justice.
Yes.
So
you just have a natural spirit for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that in the arts, it is, even though it is a tiresome and sometimes thankless job, it is not as heavy. So it gives me more energy to be able to do things in social justice that I personally couldn't do on a 24/7, like as a career choice. I felt like that would be a lot because that was my original career trajectory was like social justice and community engagement, community development.
Mm-hmm. So you felt you made the leap and look where you are.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. And this last question is just, what's the best advice that you could give to, you know, anyone, like someone walking down the street or me, or, you know, someone that looks up to you about creating longevity and a strong business, a strong brand?
Well, I think that your brand, I think in terms of creating a strong brand, to me, your brand is just a reflection of your values. So if you're clear on what your values are, and they can evolve, like they're not stagnant, then your brand, it becomes a little easier to figure out. And it's not something you necessarily have to like jump from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, because it's like you are the brand, it's you. Like, because it's different than if you had like a company that was like a widget, you know what I mean? Then it's not necessarily that, but like because it's a person and like who you are, I think it really is based around your values. And then in terms of longevity, what would I say? I'm not sure, because I think, let me think. And when I look back at like my career, I think, I mean, this is not new, but like, what is that saying about like the people you see on the way up are the same people you're going to see on the way down? So like, treat those people. I think that's true. I definitely think that like, you know, don't ever discount people. Yeah. Because you don't know where people are going to be. I think it's important to bring people with you.
Absolutely.
And then what else would I say just about longevity? I think that it can take sometimes a long time and more time than you think to achieve the vision you have, but that doesn't mean that it's not attainable. It's just that sometimes the length of time is just longer than you expect it to be, but that doesn't, like, don't give up before it's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I needed to hear that. I'm kind of impatient, so that's good advice. You know, and I took the master class with you.
Yeah.
You know, well, like back in, what was that, 2017, I want to say?
Oh my gosh, was it that long ago?
I think it was. You know, I think I didn't have, that was before I had braces. I mean,
oh wow.
So, yeah. And I've taken so much of what I learned from that with me, and especially in terms of creating a brand.
Yeah.
You know, like creating the mood boards, and it's also just exciting and fun to just really sit and think about how you want to portray yourself.
Yeah, to the world.
It is. It makes you think very, very deeply. about what you believe in, what you love, what you don't love. And I think those are very important things. And of course, patience, longevity.
Those are some of my favorite things. Like when I do the masterclass or like any kind of work with artists, like watching people go through that process of like thinking of those things, because it is a lot of introspection. And a lot of artists tell me they have not done it like before or not like to that level. And it's fun for me to like see people go through that process and like blossom, like, and then be like, whoa, like who I am. And like, yeah, I can see that. It's cool.
Absolutely. Flip it on its head. So thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me. I had so much fun hearing about, what you do and your inspirations. Just how being a Black woman from Canada and from Nova Scotia in particular, just how that's impacted the way that you carry yourself and the way that you go about managing.
I'm glad that there was another Black Scotian who could be on here with, because I feel like we are often neglected in the rest of the Black community in Canada.
Absolutely.
Even though we're the longest.
I'm sure you've met countless people who are surprised to hear you say that you're from, an Indigenous Black community in Canada. Like nobody knows about it. And so it's really cool to be able to just sit here and chat with you and to give that a platform to let people know that we've been here for so long and we're doing good things.
Black Scotians.
Exactly. I love us for real. Were there any people that you wanted to just give some recognition to, or any shout outs you wanted to give?
Yes, I have a lot of people I would love to shout out. I think there's been so many people who've been really impactful on my journey, like both in my career and just in life. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where to start. I think like in terms of like life, I definitely want to shout out my godmother, Lynn Jones, who's again, a woman who's full of wisdom and knowledge and has helped me through so many aspects of my life, and has really been an important person on my journey. Also, your mom, Delvina Bernard, again, someone who has always guided me and someone who I could always point to as kind of like a North Star. And also, I'm starting with all the Scotians. Najeri, my girl Najeri, who has come up in our conversation.
Yeah.
I think she was really someone who believed in me early and really encouraged me to follow my vision, even though it was bigger than what a lot of other people in Scotia could kind of see. And then I had another good friend, Stacey Salmon, who was that same type of person and energy, like once I moved to Toronto. But like those are people who have really guided me and supported me and like believed in me unconditionally and believed in me when maybe I didn't believe in myself. And again, not just around my career, but just like in life in general and as Black women. And then I think kind of moving a bit forward that like, I really have to thank Shawn because, like I had mentioned earlier in our talk, we were both with another company. And when I left, he didn't have to come with me. He didn't have to believe in me either. Like, and he trusted me with his career at a time when I think really at that time, we were kind of the only people we had in career-wise was each other. And like, we trusted each other implicitly. And so we grew together and we, like he really did. I really appreciate that he trusted me with his career and like kind of allowed me to find my way. Because like, I mean, everyone was trying to sign him, so he could have gone anywhere. And then I think that kind of trickled down into the rest of the team. Like I remember, like Wayne Samuels has been really instrumental in terms of like support and like, because I think, I think it was Shawn trusted me, and then therefore the rest of the team trusted me. But I mentioned this, the reason it's important is because it really does go a long way when, like, I think you sort of have imposter syndrome, or, you're not sure if you have the experience that you're like I believe in myself at the time, I believe, but then I'm like, I don't necessarily have the experience to back it up. So like to really have people like Paul Pickering, I know that no one knows maybe who I'm talking about, but I want to shout them out specifically, like Debo and Paul Pickering and Wayne Samuels, and like all the dancers, like, because they really didn't have to like follow my lead. And I think it was really rare at that time. There was not a lot of female managers. So it was already really challenging at that time to kind of be a manager, be a Black manager, be a female manager, be a Black female manager.
Right.
At that level. And so I really like, you know, we all sort of, I think we really built a family. And yeah, and grew together. And like Carrie Riley was really instrumental at that time in my career as well. She was the marketing manager at that time at Universal. She's now at Sony. But yeah, there have really been people who have been, it was important for me to mention names because I do think that sometimes in this industry, it is a thankless job. And like artists, of course, get tons of recognition as they should, but there's so many people behind the scenes who really help us shine. Like, and Vivian Barkley is someone else who's been really instrumental and supportive. And I mean, I think everyone else has kind of come up like in our talk, like this is a bit new. Farley Flex, I don't think I've mentioned him, but and I'm sure there's people I'm forgetting, but like those were the people that were kind of really in the weeds with me, or like I mentioned earlier, like the Scotians who really like propelled me and like helped me feel like yes, I can leave home. Even my dad actually, I didn't think, because it's just my dad and I, and I didn't think he'd be that supportive of me leaving Nova Scotia, so I never really thought about it. I was like, and my dad just saw that I was really unhappy, and he was like, you know, you can keep hitting your head against a brick wall, but all you're going to get is a headache, and I don't know why you don't move.
He surprised you.
I'm like, thanks, I am. And so I did. And so, yeah, and so I just want to definitely shout out a lot of those people who really supported me and helped me become the person I am today.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And hug your family for me.
I absolutely will. I will. All love, much love. And huge thank you to Advance for having me and giving me this opportunity to interview you. This is something that I've never done before, so that was really cool.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love full circle moments like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's cool being on the other side, you know. I might like this more. I don't know. But yes, you stay safe.
Awesome. You too.
Yes. Take care.
Talk soon. Bye.